The sun beat down on Sarah's weathered face as she surveyed her struggling ranch. Dust devils danced across the parched fields, a stark reminder of the drought that had gripped the land for months. Her boots were scuffed, her jeans faded, and her calloused hands bore testament to years of relentless labor. This ranch wasn't just a business, it was her family's legacy, passed down through generations. Now, it teetered on the brink of collapse. Sarah chewed on her lip, a nervous habit she'd had since she was a little girl. The bank was threatening foreclosure. The cattle were thin, and the hay supplies were dwindling faster than she could afford to replenish them. Sleep was a luxury she could barely afford, her nights filled with worry and calculations that never seemed to add up. But Sarah was no quitter. She possessed the same grit and determination as her pioneer ancestors. She wasn't about to let her dream, die without a fight. Her eyes, the color of the summer sky, held a spark of defiance. She would find a way. She had to find a way. She'd worked too hard, sacrificed too much to lose everything now. Sarah knew that somewhere, somehow, there had to be a solution. She'd scour the earth if she had to. She would save her ranch. The answer to Sarah's silent vow came in the form of a crumpled newspaper clipping, slipped under her door by old Mrs. Henderson from the general store. It advertised an upcoming auction, a sprawling event featuring unclaimed properties, abandoned equipment, and even some neglected livestock. The county was clearing out its forgotten corners, offering up lost causes to anyone brave enough to take a chance. At first, Sarah dismissed it. Auctions were usually filled with junk and overpriced dreams. But something about the desperation in the advertisement's wording, the promise of hidden potential, snagged her attention. It was a long shot, she knew, a desperate gamble. But what did she have to lose? Maybe, just maybe, there was something there, something overlooked, something valuable enough to turn the tide. Perhaps a piece of equipment she could fix up and sell, or a small plot of land with untapped resources. It was a slim hope, a flickering candle in the darkness, but Sarah clung to it with all her might. She circled the date on her calendar with a shaky hand, a mix of trepidation and fierce determination swirling within her. This auction represented her last, best hope. She had to go. She would go. The day of the auction dawned hot and dusty. Sarah arrived early, but the fairgrounds were already teeming with people. Trucks lined the perimeter, their beds filled with eager bidders and hopeful eyes. The air buzzed with anticipation, a mixture of excitement and greed. The auctioneer's voice boomed over the loudspeaker, a rapid-fire cadence of numbers and promises. Clusters of people huddled around various items, inspecting them with critical eyes. Seasoned bidders, with their knowing glances and strategic nods, moved through the crowd like sharks in the water. Sarah felt a knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach. She was out of her element. She recognized some faces from town, but most were strangers, their clothes sharper, their wallets thicker. She felt like a small fish in a big pond, vulnerable and exposed. The competition was fierce. People were pushing and shoving, eager to snag a bargain. The smell of hot dogs and popcorn mingled with the scent of diesel and dust, creating a sensory overload. Sarah tried to keep her focus, reminding herself why she was there. She took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and stepped into the fray. She wouldn't be intimidated. She had a ranch to save. After circling the ground several times, inspecting rusty tractors and dusty furniture, Sarah was starting to lose hope. Everything was either too broken, too expensive, or already attracting a swarm of eager buyers. Just as she was about to give up and head home, defeated, something caught her eye. Tucked away in a forgotten corner, almost hidden behind a stack of old tires, sat a small, wooden box. It was plain and unassuming, its surface scratched and faded with age. It wasn't flashy like the polished antiques, nor practical like the farm equipment. It was simply, there. Most people hurried past, their gazes fixed on more promising items. But Sarah felt an inexplicable pull towards it. It wasn't logical, the box looked worthless. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that it held something special, something meant for her. Maybe it was the way the sunlight caught the wood, highlighting its aged imperfections. Maybe it was the quiet stillness it possessed amidst the chaos of the auction. Whatever it was, Sarah felt drawn to the box, a faint whisper of intuition guiding her steps. She had to take a closer look. When the auctioneer finally turned his attention to the wooden box, Sarah felt a surge of nervous energy. Her heart pounded in her chest as the bidding began. "All right folks, what am I bid for this antique box? $1? Anyone?" To Sarah's surprise, no one seemed interested. The seasoned bidders exchanged glances, dismissing it with shrugs and eye rolls. A few curious onlookers lingered for a moment, but quickly moved on to more promising items. The auctioneer, clearly disappointed by the lack of interest, tried to drum up some enthusiasm. "Come on, folks, don't be shy. It could be full of treasures. Who knows what secrets it holds?" But his efforts were in vain. The price remained stubbornly low. Sarah hesitated for a moment, then raised her hand. $1, she said, her voice barely a whisper. The auctioneer perked up. "We have $1. Do I hear two? $2 for this mystery box." Silence. Going once, going twice. Sarah held her breath. "Sold. To the lady in the blue." Sarah couldn't believe it. She had won the bid for the box, and for practically nothing. As she paid the auctioneer, she couldn't help but wonder why no one else had wanted it. Was it truly worthless? Or did they simply not see what she saw, a hidden potential, a glimmer of hope in a box of forgotten memories? Only time would tell. Back at the ranch, Sarah placed the wooden box on her kitchen table. The worn wood seemed to hum with a silent energy. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for the latch. With a click, the box opened, revealing its secrets. The first thing she saw was a stack of old letters, tied together with a faded ribbon. The paper was yellowed with age, the ink slightly blurred, but the handwriting was elegant and flowing. Beneath the letters were several photographs, black and white images of people she didn't recognize, posing in front of unfamiliar landscapes. They were dressed in old-fashioned clothes, their faces etched with determination and a hint of adventure. Finally, nestled at the bottom of the box, was a compass. It wasn't just any compass, it was an antique, its brass casing gleaming softly in the dim light. The needle spun freely, pointing north with unwavering accuracy. It felt heavy and solid in her hand, a tangible link to the past. As Sarah held it, she felt a strange connection to the box and its contents, a sense of mystery and anticipation bubbling within her. What stories did these objects hold? What secrets would they reveal? She couldn't wait to find out. Sarah spent the rest of the evening poring over the letters. They were written by a woman named Amelia, and addressed to her husband, Thomas. The letters spoke of daring adventures, treacherous journeys, and a deep love for the land. As Sarah read, she felt a growing sense of connection to this mysterious woman. Then, she came across a letter that made her heart skip a beat. In elegant cursive, Amelia described a discovery she had made on the very ranch Sarah now struggled to save. "My dearest Thomas," the letter read, "I have found it. After months of searching, I have finally stumbled upon the mother lode. A gold mine, hidden deep within our land. I have marked its location on the map, and entrusted the compass to guide you. This treasure will secure our family's future for generations to come." Sarah's hands trembled as she reread the words. A gold mine? On her ranch? It seemed impossible. She had never heard anything about this. Her parents had never mentioned it, nor had her grandparents. Could it be true? Could this be the answer to all her prayers? According to the letter, Amelia was her great-grandmother. The photographs suddenly made sense. She saw a faint resemblance in Amelia's determined eyes. Sarah felt a surge of hope, mixed with disbelief. This discovery changed everything. The revelation of the gold mine left Sarah reeling. She paced her small kitchen, the letter clutched tightly in her hand. Part of her was ecstatic. This could be the miracle she desperately needed. The gold could save the ranch, pay off the debts, and secure her future. But another part of her was filled with doubt and uncertainty. Why had no one ever mentioned Amelia's adventures, or the gold mine? It seemed impossible that such a significant part of her family history had been kept secret. What if the mine was just a legend, a fanciful tale spun by a woman with an overactive imagination? What if it was already depleted, or worse, dangerous? The weight of the decision pressed down on her. It wasn't just about finding gold, it was about uncovering a hidden piece of her family's identity. She felt a responsibility to honor Amelia's legacy, to understand her story. Sarah sat down heavily in her chair, the antique compass resting on the table before her. She traced the lines of its brass casing, feeling a strange connection to her great-grandmother. This was more than just a treasure hunt, it was a journey into her past. She needed time to process everything, to weigh the risks and the rewards. But one thing was certain, she couldn't ignore this. She had to investigate. The next morning, Sarah embarked on her quest. Armed with Amelia's letters and the antique compass, she set out to find the hidden gold mine. The letters provided cryptic clues, descriptions of landmarks that had likely changed over time. She started by following the compass north, towards the rugged mountains that formed the backdrop of her ranch. The journey was arduous. She navigated through dense thickets of thorny bushes, climbed over jagged rocks, and crossed rushing streams. The sun beat down mercilessly, and the terrain was unforgiving. There were times when she felt lost and discouraged, when she questioned whether Amelia's mine was anything more than a fantasy. But Sarah pressed on, fueled by determination and a growing sense of connection to her great-grandmother. She reread the letters, searching for new insights, new directions. She learned to trust the compass, to rely on her instincts. And as she followed Amelia's trail, she began to see the land through her eyes, to appreciate its beauty and its secrets. She found herself noticing small details she'd never seen before, like the unique shape of a particular rock formation, or the way the sunlight filtered through the leaves of a certain tree. The search was challenging, but it was also incredibly rewarding. With each step, Sarah felt like she was not only getting closer to the gold mine, but also closer to understanding herself and her family's past. After days of relentless searching, Sarah was beginning to lose hope once more. The clues had led her to a steep, rocky canyon, where the landscape seemed to mock her with its impassable terrain. Just as she was about to turn back, defeated, she heard a faint sound, the rush of water. Following the sound, she rounded a bend and gasped. A waterfall cascaded down the cliff face, plunging into a crystal-clear pool below. The sight was breathtaking, a hidden oasis in the arid landscape. As Sarah approached the waterfall, she noticed something peculiar. The water didn't fall straight down, it seemed to curve slightly to the left, creating a narrow gap behind the curtain of water. Could it be? With trembling hands, Sarah reached out and touched the cool, moss-covered rocks behind the waterfall. She felt a slight give, a hidden indentation. Taking a deep breath, she pushed against the rocks, and to her astonishment, a section of the cliff face swung inward, revealing a dark, narrow opening. It was the entrance to the mine. Hidden cleverly behind the waterfall, just as Amelia had described in her letters. Sarah stared in disbelief, her heart pounding with excitement. She had found it. Armed with a flashlight, Sarah cautiously entered the mine. The air was cool and damp, and the silence was almost deafening. As she ventured deeper, the beam of her flashlight danced across the walls, revealing a breathtaking sight. Veins of gold shimmered in the rock, glinting like stars in the darkness. It was more gold than she could have ever imagined, enough to save her ranch and more. But that wasn't all. Scattered throughout the mine were remnants of Amelia's explorations, old tools, maps, and journals, offering a glimpse into her life and her adventures. And then, she saw the crystals. Huge, amethyst crystals, sparkling with an otherworldly beauty. They lined the walls of a hidden chamber, radiating a soft, purple glow. The crystals were unlike anything Sarah had ever seen, their intricate formations captivating and mesmerizing. The mine was more than just a source of gold, it was a treasure trove of history and natural beauty, a testament to Amelia's courage and her love for the land. Sarah realized that she had stumbled upon something truly extraordinary. Back on the surface, Sarah faced a difficult decision. The gold could solve all her problems, erase her debts, and ensure the ranch's survival. She could sell it discreetly, no one would ever have to know about the mine, and she could continue her life as before, albeit with a lot less stress. But the thought of stripping the mine of its gold, of destroying the historical artifacts and the beautiful crystals, filled her with a sense of unease. It felt wrong, a betrayal of Amelia's legacy. The mine was more than just a source of wealth, it was a time capsule, a window into the past, a natural wonder that deserved to be preserved. She wrestled with the dilemma. On one hand, she had a responsibility to her family, to save the ranch that had been in their blood for generations. On the other hand, she had a responsibility to history, to protect this unique and precious site for future generations. It was a choice between survival and preservation, between immediate needs and long-term value. Sarah knew that whatever decision she made would have profound consequences, not just for her, but for the land and for her family's legacy. She needed guidance. Seeking advice, Sarah turned to Jedediah, an old neighbor who had lived in the area his entire life. He was a walking encyclopedia of local history, and Sarah remembered her grandmother mentioning that he had known her great-grandmother, Amelia. She found Jedediah sitting on his porch, whittling a piece of wood. She hesitantly shared her story, showing him the letters and the compass. Jedediah listened intently, his eyes twinkling with interest. When she finished, he leaned back in his rocking chair and smiled. "Amelia," he said softly, "she was a remarkable woman. A true adventurer. She loved this land more than anything. She wasn't driven by greed, but by a thirst for knowledge and a desire to leave a lasting legacy." He paused, then looked Sarah in the eye. "She would never have wanted you to destroy that mine just for gold. She believed in preserving the past, in sharing its stories. She would want you to honor her memory, to protect what she discovered." Jedediah's words resonated deeply with Sarah. He confirmed what she already suspected in her heart. Amelia's legacy was more valuable than any amount of gold. She knew then what she had to do. Sarah made her decision. She wouldn't sell the gold. Instead, she would honor Amelia's legacy by preserving the mine and turning it into a historical attraction. It wouldn't be easy. She'd need to secure funding, hire experts to ensure the mine's safety, and promote it to attract visitors. But she was determined. She envisioned guided tours through the mine, showcasing Amelia's artifacts, the shimmering gold veins, and the breathtaking crystal chambers. She imagined a museum dedicated to Amelia's life and adventures, filled with photographs, letters, and maps. She would create educational programs for children, teaching them about history, geology, and the importance of preserving natural wonders. The idea sparked a new sense of purpose within her. It wasn't just about saving her ranch anymore, it was about revitalizing her community. The historical attraction would create jobs, bring tourists to the area, and boost the local economy. It would be a tribute to Amelia's spirit of adventure and a testament to the enduring power of the past. Sarah started making calls, contacting historians, geologists, and tourism experts. She was ready to share her family's secret with the world. The opening of the Amelia Stone Historical Mine was a resounding success. People came from far and wide to tour the mine, marvel at the crystals, and learn about Amelia's incredible life. The museum was filled with artifacts, photographs, and stories, bringing the past to life. The local economy boomed, creating jobs and revitalizing the small town. Sarah's ranch was saved, not by selling gold, but by sharing her family's incredible story. The tourists who visited the mine also supported her ranch, buying her beef and staying in her newly renovated guest cottages. She was able to pay off her debts and secure her family's legacy for generations to come. But more importantly, Sarah found a renewed sense of purpose. She was no longer just a struggling rancher, she was a historian, a preservationist, a community leader. She had honored her great-grandmother's memory and created something truly special, something that would benefit her community for years to come. As she stood at the entrance to the mine, watching visitors explore the wonders within, Sarah smiled. She had found a hidden gem, not just in the earth, but within herself. The desperate rancher had found her true calling.